first for the invitation. I will talk, this will be an introductory session about time acupuncture. It's quite deep, so I do just introduction. Before we start, thank you for the invitation. It's really an honor to talk here. In this 1.5 hour lecture, I will give an overview of the time acupuncture. We will first discuss the energetics of time and of acupuncture. We will then have an overview about the historical background. We will talk about the methods, the Zhen and the Lingui Wafa. And I will put the point to the diagnosis as well. If we want to use these time-related acupuncture methods, we have to put it in a diagnosis, or we have to put it that way that the diagnosis matches to the therapy. I will then tell you how these timely best-fitting points could be combined with any of your strategies you already know. And we would combine your strategy with the time-optimized treatment strategy. The neologism time acupuncture wants to illustrate the combination of the energetic of the time with the energetic of acupuncture. When talking about the energetic of time, a cyclical perception of time is used. The year, the month, the day, and the 12 double hours are examples of such cycles. Each cycle is further subdivided. In that way, a year includes 12 months, and a day includes 12 time divisions or double hours. Each time unit is characterized by yin and yang and by one of the 5 elements. These Taoistic concepts are well known to every acupuncturist. Here we find the subdivision in 12 as well, if you look at the 12 meridians. It is obvious that time and acupuncture, both characterized by yin and yang and the 5 elements, can be aligned and correspondingly combined. Through the coordination of these energetic cycles, we are able to optimize the effectiveness of the acupuncture treatment. The historical background. Somewhere within the 12th and 13th century, in a period known as the Qin and Yuan time, Dou Hanqing and Xu Feng first postulated the idea of the use of acupuncture along strict guidelines of time. The terms Zhen Liu Chu refer back to the Guangdi Neijing around 200 BC. The Zhen Liu Chu Zhenfa method was first published by He Yu in 1153. Dou Hanqing, in his work Biao You Fu, also describes this form of time acupuncture together with the Lingui Wafa later in 1243 and later in the Zhen Jing Zhenan 1241 AD. Before we start with the different time-based acupuncture methods, we have to make a note with respect to the time definition. At the time of the constitution of the classical methods of time acupuncture, the present clock time was unknown. Solar time was the reference. The old Chinese masters based the time acupuncture on the knowledge that physiological functions are regulated under the dictatorship of the sun. This knowledge is confirmed by many findings of modern chronobiology. Therefore, contemporary acupuncturists using Zhen Liu Chu and Lingui Wafa have to convert any local clock time into the current solar time. The calculation of the solar time from clock time, however, is complicated, and in the daily clinical routine too time-consuming. There are many devices for the time conversion. On my website you will find the local to solar time converter. In the set of the wheel of time acupuncture as depicted, and as you see it here, this revolving wheel, here you can calculate the solar time from the local clock time. But this is complicated. The easiest way is if we use a time acupuncture app, because it is so complicated. I gave many lectures about these calculations and about the wheel, and everybody said, you can come back as soon as you have an app. I don't want to calculate. Okay, that's what now the app is here. And in my clinic, I still use the wheel, but the wheel and the app go good together. So you can calculate with the app, you can set your wheel, and you can control, or you can even prepare your treatment with the app, because in the app you can click on any of the buttons, and the strategies that are that you should apply are explained. That's how the app looks like. Conversion from clock time first. You see the location. The location is important, and from the location it is your longitude, the longitude where your clinic is. This is a picture from my clinic in Armin. It lies at 8.23 degrees east. It was the 10th June 2016. It was 9:19 in the morning, and this is important. This is the definition of the time zone. My time zone is Central European time, and this was in summer. Therefore, it is Central European Daylight Saving Time. That means the time zone is UTC, the Universal Time, plus 2 hours. Here you are at the Universal Time, Greenwich Mean Time. That means you are now at plus 1 hour because of the daylight saving time. Then you see here the clock time. It is 9:19. You see the clock time, and the solar time is 7. This would be 8 o'clock, 7:30, 7:45, 7:50, 7:52. That means at 9:19 it is, according to solar time, 7:52. And you already see here it is a difference when we are going into meridian clock strategies. 7 to 9 is the time for stomach. And here we are in the time for stomach, and here it would be 9 to 11, according to our clock time, would be the time for the spleen. You see here, it is very important to really work with solar time. If you go to China, in China you have one time zone, 75 degrees from the eastern border to the western border. Thus it is very important to know where you are. One time zone is 15 degrees. That means if you have 75, it's 5 hours difference from eastern border to western border, but they have all the same clock time. So if we say that physiology is dictated by the sun, then it is most important that we do this calculation. Let's come back to the Zhen Zhen. The translation is the midnight, noon, Ebb-Flow acupuncture method, and it is an astronomical acupuncture. This is depicted by these revolving stars. Two basic forms are distinguished, the Nahtsefa and the Nahtsefa, and they treat primarily pathologies of the 12 main channels and apply mostly the 5 transporting shoe points. The translation Nahtsefa, the first method of the Zhen Zhen, is take or use the branch method. It is the method that works with the 12 heavenly branches. The 12 earthly branches. The 12 earthly branches correspond with the 12 time divisions or Chinese double hours. Time divisions or double hours, they are aligned with the channels. That is to say, from 3 to 5 we have the long channel, from 5 to 7 the large intestine channel, from 7 to 9, as in our example from before, the stomach channel. And here we see this assignment, the part above, the calculation of the solar time. We just spoke about it before. And here we have now the 5th branch that is active. This is B5 time division. I prefer to say time division and not hour or double hour, because the Western hour is 1 hour and the Chinese hour in fact is a double hour. To make it not confusing, I have chosen the name time division for the Chinese double hour. And this B5 time division, that is according to solar time and is related directly to the Foot Yang Ming stomach channel. And you see here the stomach channel is open from 7 to 9 solar time, and this is 9, 8:30, about 8:30 to 9:30, a little bit more. Huh? The problem is, somebody told me I don't like to work with this time-optimized acupuncture because I don't want to stand up during the night if it's the best time to treat the liver and want to see in the morning. This is not my method. Therefore, we have the noon-midnight. In that way, there is a coupling between the stomach and the PC, or better now when we go in the evening's time, pericardium, PC, 7 to 9 is coupled to stomach. Any problem of the PC channel could be treated via the stomach channel, triple energizer via the spleen, GB via the heart, and liver via the small intestine. Historically, the noon-midnight law can be traced back to the Tang dynasty, about 7 to 900 AD, but it's definitely more ancient. The most commonly used terms for this law are tonification in the yang has the effect of sedation in the yin, while tonification in the yin has the effect of sedation in yang. This statement refers to the two opposing channels of the meridian clock. There are 3 well-known strategies for the application of this law. 1, the tonification or sedation of the coronary burn point. The translation of the original term coronary of burn is coronary, meaning pertaining to an hour. It refers to the increased sensitivity of these points on the way in which the qi travels through the meridians in a circadian rhythm. 2, the needling of the point of tonification or sedation. This strategy also refers to the coronary burn points, as the tonification point precedes the coronary burn point and the sedation point follows the coronary burn point. And the third well-known strategy is the luo connecting point. One reason for needling the luo connecting point in the context of the noon-midnight flow might be the wide range of the indications of these luo points. We will talk later about the luo connecting points in detail. Let's now look at an example. The exemplary diagnosis is sleep disturbance due to liver qi stagnation. This is an excess condition in the liver yin. The treatment would now be a tonification of the yang, the small intestine, in order to sedate the yin, the liver channel. Now these 3 strategies, if we want to sedate the liver, we have to tonify the small intestine. How to do that? The tonification of the coronary burn point. Coronary burn point is the fire point on a fire meridian. This is small intestine 5, coronary burn point. Or we can use the main tonification point. The main tonification point is here, heart 9. Why is heart 9 the tonification point of the small intestine channel? The problem if we want to tonify a weak channel, is that acupuncture is just a sedation method. If we make a hole into a system at the time where the Qi is at its maximum, a leakage is possible. If we want to prevent this leakage, we could use the channel that comes just before the small intestine channel. Then the tidal wave has just passed through and we can tonify without having the danger of an additional weakening. That's why the tonification point of the preceding channel of the small intestine is hard. The main tonification point of the small intestine channel is heart 9. You understood that? And the third strategy would be the tonification of the lower connecting point. The lower connecting point is depicted here, so we could use small intestine 7. Empirically, the best method to sedate the liver is heart 9. We could say that at any given point in time, there is not only one channel open, but the coupled channel, according to the meridian clock, is always open for a timely treatment as well. The two opposite channels always have an opposite yin-yang quality. That is to say, if the open channel has a yang qualification, the noon-midnight connected channel is qualified by yin. Therefore, we can say, due to the noon-midnight law, we have access to a yang channel as well as to a yin channel and vice versa. We have created the term yang-yin switcher in order to illustrate the applications of this extension of the noon-midnight law. The application of the noon-midnight law as a yang-yin switcher will be explained along with many strategies of the meridian clock. Some examples will be presented in this slide. The catchphrase, switch on yang, indicates that the treatment should apply yang channel strategies of the noon-midnight coupled channel, of the timely channel. The mode that we call switch on yang is indicated, for example, in most of the problems concerning channels or the food organs or the skin and so on. The catchphrase switch on yin indicates that the treatment should apply the yin channels of the noon-midnight coupled pair of timely channels. The mode that we call switch on yin is indicated, for example, in most of the problems concerning the Zhang organs, for expelling pathogenic factors, or for the Qing river points, to make some examples. So you can imagine you have always a yang and a yin channel open at the time division, and you have to decide now, should I treat via the yang channel or should I treat via the yin channel? If you have a Zhang organ problem, like palpitations due to heart Qi deficiency, then I would use the yin channel of the noon-midnight pair, coupled pair of timely channels. Okay? If I have a channel problem, like tennis elbow, it's a channel problem. You can use the tennis elbow however you would like to do that. But if you want to do it in a timely optimized way, you should apply or add the point of the yang channel that is connected via the noon-midnight law, or maybe it's even open. Here you see the meridian clock strategies depicted. The question is now, it is 7 to 9, either in the morning or in the evening, because anyway we could use the stomach channel or the PC channel. If we have a yang channel problem, we would use the strategies that are depicted in these 5 columns. If we have a yin problem, it would be depicted here. What do you see here? The Qin well point, qualified by metal, the water point or the yin point, the shu stream point, qualified by wood, then the yin river point, the Qin river point, sorry, qualified by fire, and the Koch sea point, qualified by earth. Then we have depicted the Luo connecting point. Then I have here the combination of the Luo connecting point with the interior-exterior related Yuan source point. I have here the Bakshu point, I have the sheep cleft point, and here the lower Xiaoke point. The next line depicts the main point for tonification. Why is large intestine 11, the tonification point of the stomach channel? That's what we have already discussed. Large intestine precedes the stomach channel. Thus, if we want to tonify the stomach, we do not have to do leakage at the time of the stomach channel. So we prefer to use the tonification point of the preceding channel. Sedation point, here we want to sedate. A leakage is desired. That's why stomach 45 is the sedation point. The sedation point follows the coronary bone point. The coronary bone point is stomach 36. Coronary bone point is depicted here as well. This is the heavenly stem, and here we have the lower Xiaoke point. Now, before we continue, we have to make a note about the diagnosis. According to my opinion, a TCM diagnosis should consist of 3 parts. We should start by giving a name to the problem of the patient. The second point is very specific for TCM. We have to define the energetic imbalance. This is of major importance for Chinese herbal treatments, but also for the acupuncturist, it's not neglected. The third point, we have to define the place of the clinical manifestation. This is in contrast to point 2, the major importance, especially for acupuncture. There are 3 possibilities how I could give a name to the diagnosis, to the problem of the patient. The most commonly thing is that the patient is coming in and he has already a name for his illness. Or he is referred by a doctor and the doctor tells you this patient is coming for migraine. So I just give the name, this patient has a migraine or a glaucoma or whatsoever. If you have a problem that has a defined TCM, like a TB syndrome or Taiyang disease, then you can just use this name. You could also use the major symptom. If a patient is coming in with cough, I just say your diagnosis is cough, or the first part of the diagnosis is cough. Why do I put this at the beginning? Because it's just important that the patient knows what he is suffering from. If he has migraine, he is coming for treatment because of migraine and not because of a liver yin deficiency with liver yang rising. So if I have a referral from a medical doctor, I don't have to tell him if I write back, oh, I tonified the liver yin, now the liver yang is now down, the patient is well. He thinks, oh, but I sent him or her for migraine. So they are interested whether the migraine is better. So it's good at the beginning to name this disease. For the treatment with acupuncture and herbs, this is not of really therapeutic interest. Of therapeutical interest is the energetic imbalance, and this is the being in, the pathogens, the causes of the disease, or the pathomechanisms. Defining a pathogen as cause of a disease has direct therapeutic implication, especially for herbal prescriptions. Most of the herbal formulas are ordered according to the being in to the pathogens. But also for acupuncture, this pathogenic point of view is of importance. If you have a patient with a wind disease, we could treat him via the wood points. If we have a patient with a heat problem, we could treat it with fire points or water points. Then the pathomechanisms are of importance. You know all these 8 principles. We have to order the symptoms according to these 8 principles. Is it yin or yang? Is it cold or heat? Interior, exterior, deficiency or excess? Stagnation is a possible mechanism. Stagnation of qi or xiu is an excess condition. Deficiency, if we have a qi deficiency, a hard qi deficiency, then we have it in this column, and so on. So the second part of the diagnosis would tell us something about the energetic imbalance. And point 3, the location is important. Where is the problem? Is it on the superficial level? Is it in the luo channels? Is it in the main channels? Is it in the blood, Zhang organs, or fu organs? So if you have this table in your mind when you're doing a diagnosis, then you have also the possibility to make a consistent therapy, consistent to the TCM diagnosis. The intent of the TCM diagnosis, especially the aspects of the underlying energetic imbalance and its location, will be evident after the presentation of the actions of the different acupuncture point categories. In this regard, we will discuss the 5 transporting Shu points, the back Shu and Mu front points, the Luo and Yuan points, the sheep left points, and the Korrigan points. First, to the strategies of the 5 transporting Shu points. I have 3 categories of indications. First, the classical indications, 2 element indications, and 3 seasonal indications. I will go through the classical indications. I will tell a little bit about the element indications. The seasonal indications you can find yourself in the app if you are interested what I think about the seasonal indications. We begin with the classical indications. The basis for this is found in the Huangdi Neijing in 200 BC and contains the theoretical basis of TCM, as well as the Nanjing, the classic of difficulties. As you can see, we are dealing here with really old classical knowledge. In connection with time acupuncture, the treatment strategy is to needle the most appropriate transporting Shu point of the timely channel. Thus, meridian strategies doesn't tell you what to do. You still have to know, for this problem, I use the Qingmel point, or the Shoestring point, or the Kösi point, or the Luo point, or the Korrigan point. The Qingmel points. The indications of the Qingmel points in the classical literatures you can see in this slide. I make some examples of diagnoses that would fit to the Qingmel points. If we have a patient with restlessness, insomnia, confused talking, ulceration in the mouth, and so on, due to hard fire, this is important. This gives the therapeutic clue. This energetic imbalance, hard fire, we could treat it via the Qingmel point of the open channel. Okay? If somebody is coming in with coughing and yellow sputum, and my diagnose the energetic imbalance is lung heat, like an acute bronchitis, then I could treat this lung heat with the open Qingmel point. And of course, you can always combine this open Qingmel point with the Qingmel point of the mainly involved channel. Thus, in a condition of, let's say, heart failure at the stomach time, how would I treat it? Heart failure at the stomach time, I would use the yin channel that is connected, because it is a tongue problem, and connected to the stomach is the PC. So I would treat it with the Qingwell point of the PC channel, that is PC9, and I might combine it with Heart 9, for example. Understood? The rest you can read yourself. Yin spring points. The yin spring points lie in between the Qingwell and the shoestring points. In analogy to the location, the indications of this point category is in between the preceding and the following point category. In the classical books you will find you use the yin spring points in the case of fever, hot flushes, facial change of color, illnesses concerning to the channels, illnesses of the tongue organs. The first two indications are somehow similar as the Qingwell points, and the next two indications to the shoestring points. Therefore, we will discuss the indications together with the shoestring points. The shoestring points are most important. The shoestring points on the yin channels are identical with the yuan source points. Thus, the shoestring points treat disturbances of the Zhang along with the yin spring points. If you remember, we had this indication for the Zhang deficiencies in the yin spring points as well. So I could use the shoestring point together with the yin spring point. Disturbances of the yang channel. In these cases of disturbances of the yang channels, I would use the shoestring point of the yang channel of the paired coupled that is timely available. If we have stomach and PC, as we have seen it in the picture before, I would treat it via the stomach channel. Feelings of heaviness in the body as well as joint pains goes together with the yang channels. All these rheumatological diseases go in this category. All the B syndromes could be used with the shoestring point. If I have rheumatoid arthritis, just many channels are affected. We would choose the channel that fits, that is the timely best option. That means the yang channel's shoestring point of the opened pair. Coughing due to the failure of the lungs' descending function would be treated via the shoestring point of the open channel. If I go back to the time division we had before, the stomach channel is open. And we would like to treat coughing due to the failing of the lungs' descending function. How is it to be treated? It is a Zhang organ problem. If I want to do a timely treatment, I take the shoestring point of the PC channel, because PC and stomach channel are coupled according to the noon-midnight law. Palpitations of heart G deficiency is treated via the open shoestring point of the Zhang channel that is open, or coupled according to the noon-midnight law. Irritability due to liver G stagnation. This is now the problem that is very common in our clinics. We treat it via the shoestring point of the timely channel, and it should be of the yin part of this coupled pair. You can read that through yourself. In fact, you should, did you get all these slides? You will get it after. So all the slides, you will get, how does it work?
It will go online.
The Qing river points, coughing and dyspnea is an indication according to the Nanjing. Problems of the voice and the throat, also the Nanjing and the Lingshu as well. Problems of sinews and bones. In Lingshu, you find for diseases of yin within yang, use the Qin river points of the yin channels. Yin within yang stands for sinews and bones. This statement points out the application of the Qin river points for B syndromes. All these indications fit more to the yin channels in Qin river points. But we have always a yin channel available according to the noon midnight law. Okay, the curse C point is again more important. You see, I have three important point categories. The first is the Qingmel points, the second is the shoestring points, and the third is the curse C points. The other two are less important. They lie just in between. According to the classical indications, the Kesi points are used for two groups of conditions. The first group is rebellious qi, diarrhea, diseases of the stomach, and diseases of the food organs in general. And the second is diseases of the skin. And diseases of the skin, this refers only to the yang Kesi points. Thus, the Kesi points of the yang channels are more important than the Kesi points of the yin channels. But again, we have always a yang Kesi point available, because of the noon midnight law. Some examples: nausea, vomiting, or hiccup due to rebellious qi is treated via the open Kesi point. If we have the time like stomach, it's easy, stomach 36. We even do not need the noon midnight law. Diarrhea, uterine or rectal prolapses, incontinence, vaginal discharge due to the descending spleen qi, we would use the Kesi point. Which Kesi point? Kesi point of the timely yang channel. And of course, I would combine it with which one? The Kesi point like stomach 36. So we go to the channel where we find the maximum qi flow. We treat this one and we combine it with the channel that is mainly involved. Okay? And here you see again this depiction now on the app. We have discussed the Qingmel points. An example for the water yin spring points. I will talk about water indications later. We first go through the classical indications. You can imagine now what kind of diagnosis fit into this picture. So you just have a quick look and you decide which point fits to my patient's diagnosis. Here are some quotations. In the Lingshu, you will find the statement, if one of the 5 Zhang organs fall ill, choose the corresponding Yuan source point. And remember the fact that the Shu stream point and the Yuan source points of the yin channels are identical. And from the Nanjing, diseases of the yin are treated through the back Shu points of the yang. And this is now a very important concept. The Shushu concept. The Shushu concept I call a concept of a combination of the Shu stream with the back Shu point. And this Shushu concept, this Zhang organs treatment strategy, fits to the yin channel of the paired couple. So at the time 7 to 9 solar time or 8:30 to 10:30 clock time, according to my clinic in Sarnen, if I have a Zhen organ problem, I would use PC7 combined with bladder 14. If the diagnosis would be like cough because of the failing of the lungs descending function, I would combine it with lung 9, the shoestring point of the mainly affected channel, and the bladder 13. And I just would combine it easily. In chapter 9 of the Ling Xiu, you will find for diseases of yin within yin, this is a Zhen organ problem, use the yin spring and the shoestring points together. Now I have here the yin spring point and the shoestring point. I can use them together, and of course I could combine it with the bladder 14, with the back shoe point. Yin spring points can be sedated to clear heat, and the shoestring point is tonified to nourish the yin. Another important concept, Fu organs treatment strategy. Nanjing, diseases of the yang are treated through the move-on points of the yin, and in Ling Xiu, chapter 2 and 4, you will find stomach 37, stomach 39, and bladder 39 are assigned to problems of the large intestine, the small intestine, and the triple energizer, bladder 39, triple energizers. These are the lower C points. Lower C points. They can replace the C points of the yang channels of the arm because of why? The yang channels of the arm, they treat primarily problems that follow the pathway of the channel. That means problems of the neck, problems of the face, problems of the upper extremities. But the problems of the Fu organs, energetically, they correspond more to the yang channels of the foot. Now, the move front Xia lower C point combination is surrounded by a thick field, and this concept we can treat now in Fu organs problem. This combination, Run 12 plus stomach 36, can even be used to guide our qi that we put in the patient's problem at the desired level of the Fu organs. If we have any problem of the Fu organs at the level of the Fu organs, I can use the Fu organs treatment strategy to guide my qi to the level of the problem, if the problem is a Fu organs problem. If the problem is a Zang organs problem, I can use the Shushu concept to guide my qi to the Zang organ level. And I can combine it with points according to the problem of the patient. The element indications. The basis for this is found in the Nanjing Classic of Difficulties. Chapter 64 comments the assignment of the elements to the pathogens. Chapter 69 comments the mother-child laws, the basic theory of tonification and sedation. In the Guangdi Neijing, the points, the element points or the element indications are not yet mentioned. So if I look now at the depiction in the app, I could say We make an example. First example, a diagnosis that would fit into this element indication category might be menstrual pain due to coldness in the uterus. Such a condition could be treated via the water points. Stomach 44 is a water point, and PC3 is a water point. So any problem due to a water problem, cold problem, not water problem, but a cold problem, pathogenic factor, could be treated via one of these 2 points. Stomach 44 fits better in this case. Usually, the yin points fit better to these element indications. Application of the earth points, abdominal pain due to dampness, stomach 36 and PC7 are offered, and we could use both of these. So the element indications, according to my opinion, are not so important, and if you want to use them, you have to use them in a way that you do look at the pathogenic factor according to this element. So I do not treat the wood problem, but I treat wind. I do not treat earth problem, but I treat dampness. The pathogenic factor is the clue. Application of the element indications, tonification and sedation, they are based on the mother-child laws. There are many concepts, and you will find these concepts in the wheel as well as in the app if you just click on the element of the tonification point. Then you'll find the different concepts. Tonification, I already said it. The mother point of the channel that precedes the affected channel is the main tonification point. The reason, danger of an additional weakening if I use the point of the timely channel. Thus, needle after the incoming tide, that means you needle the channel that precedes. And in that way, we support a small amount of energy without opening the channel at its maximum. For sedation, this doesn't play a role. Here, a leakage is desired. We just treat the child point of the timely channel. One more in the time in the app. If this is the stomach channel, the large intestine channel precedes. This is the tonification point of the large intestine channel, and I put it here as main tonification point in the stomach channel category. Now the luo connecting points. Very important point category. The first 3 indications of this list, that is the longitudinal, the horizontal, and the psycho-emotional luo connecting channels indication, are usually found in the acupuncture textbooks. In addition, the luo points can be used due to their network function with the purpose of a well-balanced treatment strategies. All details concerning the different indications can be found again by clicking in the app, and all these indications will be explained in detail. The longitudinal luo channels indications, they have 2 types of problems. The first problem is important, is more important than the second. The first can treat problems along the spots reached by the longitudinal connecting channels. The longitudinal luo connecting channels usually follow the main channels. Thus, if you know the pathway of the main channel, then you can treat all problems along this pathway via the luo connecting point. The second point, excess and deficiencies can be treated via the luo connecting points And there is a list in the link show what kind of diagnosis fit into this luo channel deficiency or excess conditions. But you can forget it. If you are interested, you just look it up. You will find these points in the app as well, or these indications, but they are not important. However, very important is the knowledge that with the luo connecting points, we reach the whole area that follows the main channel. The second indication is the horizontal luo connecting channels indication, and this you know very well. It is the combination of the yuan source point of the channel that is in deficiency, or of the timely channel in the time acupuncture's context now, with the interior-exterior related channel. Psycho-emotional indications you will find in the app as well. They are described also in the manual of acupuncture. I think this is your textbook that you use, or most of you. There you find also this list of the commonly used psycho-emotional problems that can be treated via the luo connecting points. And the next one, the luo connecting network function. Luo connecting, connections, means that I can connect, that you can do a now well-balanced treatment. I have connections. Let's look at it with an example. If I want to treat spleen 3, spleen 3 would now be the point, the timely Shu 3 point. The indication might be spleen Qi deficiency, or just Zhang Qi deficiency, a deficiency of a Zhang organ. So I use spleen 3. In order to give this treatment more strength, or to connect it in a well-balanced way, I could combine it with stomach 40. And now I have, this is the guest host rule, so I have a strengthening in a horizontal level. Or I could combine it with the luo connecting point of the noon-midnight connected channel. Spleen and triple energizer channel are connected according to the noon-midnight law. In that way, this is just a network of treatment. I just strengthened my indication or my treatment of the point spleen 3. You know Richard Tan? He's known in UK?
Yeah.
Okay. So this balancing concept I commonly use, and it's like a part of Tan's method. So now you might ask, how do I use these Nahtsepa points? If the Nahtsepa points fit really well to your patient's problem, then you just use them alone, in order to put your whole focus on the treatment. If it doesn't fit, you can use it to guide your treatment to a desired level of the problem and combine it with other points according to your specific acupuncture style. And in fact, I use it commonly together with balancing concepts. At the end, we will go through examples, and I will explain in short about these balancing concepts. Now the second method. The second method is the Nahtsepa. Na means to take or make use of. Cha is the first heavenly stem and stands for the stems in general. Nahtsepa, take or use the stem method, is the method that works with the heavenly stems. We can just use the offered points as choker points. A treatment using Nahtsepa is very efficient and should always be taken into consideration, especially when the diagnosis of the patient and the indication of the open points are well matched. But even if the diagnosis does not fit to the indication of the open points, a treatment with the Nachefa method is still possible. The purpose of such a treatment would be to bring the organism and its momentary energetic vibration into a resonance responding to proper time. Choker points. You see here all these theories, 5-element theory, yin-yang theory, husband-wife law, 5 transporting shoot point, human source point, heavenly stems and earthly branches. They are just mixed together, and you will find the best sweeting point at that time. That is the choker point. Here, I do not want to go into detail. If you really are interested how we find this point, you can look in the theoretical basis and concepts on my website. And you will get this picture after the Congress, and then if ever you are interested, you can look at it. Is it necessary that you know how to find this point? No, it's not necessary. But you have to know, here I have really an outstanding point. Whenever a Nachefa point is available, use it, because this is just a joke. If the indication of the problem, if the patient shows a problem that matches these point indications, then it is the best. Then I would not take any other point. I would put the whole focus on one point or 2 points. You have 1 or 2, sometimes 3 Nachefa points. Here you see such an example. The Nachefa points are in this case, this is the 13th April 2016, again in my clinic, bladder 40 and bladder 66. So if we have a patient with backache, then I would just use these points and nothing else. He has no chance, he has to get cured. If it doesn't fit, I would still use it and combine it with points that are well matched with the patient's problem.
And you have seen this working many times?
Yes, yes. And later we will go through the way how I work, like medical hypnosis. I would combine that with that. So I would really tell to this patient, you have no chance. You will get cured because this is a godsend. You have just now these points. So kind of that. The magic turtle is different to we leave now the meridian clock strategies. We said the meridian clock strategies, they are for problems of the main channels. And with the magic turtle, this is a numerical method, a lot of calculation. Again, if you are interested how you have to calculate, you could find it via the theoretical basis and concepts via my website, but it's not important. You just look in the wheel or in the app or in any device you have. You told me you have something, and you just use these link wave alpha, but now for problems of the extraordinary channels. There are 2 forms, the original link wave alpha and the fate wave alpha. This is a simplified form, and we treat pathologies of the 8 extraordinary channels. And the pathologies that should be treated via the 8 extraordinary channels are constitutional conditions. That means not just a cough, but really chronic, severe, serious inherited, maybe even inherited disease. This is the first indication for the link wave alpha. The second is the use of an extraordinary channel because of the path of this extraordinary channel. The extraordinary channel, they cover a much wider area than the main channels. If you look, for example, the Yang Wei Man, it contains the area of the bladder, GB, and small intestine channel. So if you have a problem that covers a wide area, and this fits to this open extraordinary channel or link wave alpha point, then you can use. This is the second indication. And we can also use it to balance polarities. If the patient says, my problem is always here and the one there, always on the right side, always on top, always on bottom, then this points for the extraordinary channels, you know them in male. If we have the yin wave, you start with the Verbindungspunkt, the confluent point on the left side, you combine it with the point on the right side, you go to the left, to the right side in the arm, and the left on the right. Thus, polarity conditions could also be an indication for the link wave alpha. We could combine all the different acupuncture strategies. We could use the timely points and combine it with points according to the problem at hand. I commonly use a yin-yang balance, and you could integrate the time acupuncture points into your personal style. And keep in mind, it's not better if you use all points that you know. So sometimes it's just better if you do not mix too many methods. Okay? Some examples. This is the 26th of July 2017, 2:30 p.m. in Sarnen. This is a patient, an 18-year-old man with mucoviscidosis. Besides this lifelong chronic condition, he suffers from migraine since years. Currently, he has continuous headaches since 5 months. With a diffuse localization, simultaneously the nose is blocked and an increased amount of thick yellow secretion is coughed up. My findings were partially blocked nose, bilaterally painful sinuses on knocking. I didn't hear any pathological sounds in the lungs. The tongue was red, swollen, with tooth impressions and a thick yellow coating. A firm and slippery pulse, 89 per minute. My diagnosis, you can read it. Phlegm is obviously connected with the underlying chronic disease of the mucoviscidosis. Wind, especially wind heat, is the part of the blocked nose. Internal wind is the part of the migraine. And the location is the lung organ, stomach and GP channels. And this now is what I see in the app. At that time, the small intestine channel is open. In that case, does the small intestine channel give any points for this patient, or the liver channel, according to the non-midnight law? Or are the Nachefa points good? They should always be taken into consideration. If they fit to the patient, even better. And this is the link wave alpha. Now, it is important, if you now have to decide to look for a treatment, it's not only one correct solution. There are many solutions possible. Many different strategies are possible and correct. However, the treatment strategy must match the diagnosis. That is most important. Your diagnosis and the treatment that you apply must match. This is the only important point. My considerations were as follows. I have chosen a young channel strategy by needling small intestine 2, considering the yin spring heat indication, and I combined it with small intestine 18. Small intestine 18 is located at the same level as stomach 3 and large intestine 4, and I even used these 3 points together. you see here the red points are the timely points. The black points are just additional points. The small intestine 18 is most important because with this point I just reached the most small intestine is the channel that is open now. So with this small intestine point combination, small intestine 2, small intestine 8, I go to the problem. I help lung 20 with large intestine 20 with large intestine 4. Then I have the liver channel. Liver channel is coupled according to the noon-midnight law. I have used liver 3 and bladder 18, the Zhen organs treatment strategy. Why? Because of his migraine. I have combined it with lung 9, bladder 13. Why? Because it just fits to the patient's problem. I have used the choker points, lung 5 and lung 10. Why? They are choker points. And even in addition to their choker points qualifications, they fit well. They clear heat in the lung. And part of his problem is heat in the lung. Lingwei Bafa I did not use in that case, although it would be possible, but it was just enough. We should not do too much. And at the beginning, I just focused on the acute treatment. And this is how I put the points. The problem is here in the head. I have put, these are the points we just talked about, and I have put it in this yin-yang balancing way. If you look here at the large intestine and the stomach, they are just balanced according to their yang-yin qualification. Spleen 3 and lung 5 are balanced. Then small intestine and liver channel are balanced according to midnight law. Then stomach and spleen 3 are balanced according to their interior-exterior relationship, as well as lung and large intestine. That is how I did it. This is the herbal prescription for this patient. We do not go into detail, but most important is that the ingredients match the diagnosis. So exogenous wind is treated, cooling effect is important of the Mang Xiao, internal wind with Tianma, and the phlegm condition. Then I said I use methods of medical hypnosis, so I give a positive message, or in other words, I avoid negative connotations. So I would not say this is a treatment for mucoviscidosis. I would not put here in the heading mucoviscidosis or migraine, because each and every time the patient takes his medicine, he looks at mucoviscidosis or as migraine. So I would put it in a positive message, like I would say, clear and free the head in this example, and opens nose and sinuses. And TCM offers a figurative and sensuous language that can be used for this message. The second patient is a 30-year-old woman. She was traveling through South America for 1 year, and she returned back home in June 2016, 1 year ago, and she didn't have any health problems during her trip. However, 1 month after the return, she fell ill with diarrhea that occurred half an hour after each meal. The stools were paste-like, no blood, no pus, no indigested food. The family doctor could not find any abnormalities in the lab. Stool examinations were negative, coloscopy was unsuspicious. He prescribed antibiotics and it didn't help at all. My diagnosis, also in the tongue, I saw this spleen G deficiency. So spleen G deficiency was at the beginning my first diagnosis. Because I thought of a spleen G deficiency, the treatment must match the diagnosis, so the strategy is strengthening and lifting the spleen G. Acupuncture, the Zhen organs treatment strategy was used, and the herbal prescription was Zhen Weichelsan, and there was a slight improvement after this treatment, but it was not really better. So I reassessed the problem. Although there were not a lot of heat signs, I had the suspicion about Sha-Yang toxic heat. This is something we commonly see after antibiotic treatment. So I adapted the acupuncture with more heat clearing points of the open channels. In addition, a new prescription was applied. It consists of an adaptation of Xiao Chai Hutang and Guang Lian Jie Hutang. Detoxification of the Sha-Yang toxic heat is the idea. After the patient started this treatment, 1 week of taking this formula, fever and flu-like symptoms occurred and persisted for about a week. The patient told me that she was really badly sick. However, she felt that something good was going on in her body. She described it as if something had to go out. After this episode, the patient felt great and the problem and the treatment could be stopped. So the reassessment said this is a toxic heat. I give more heat clearing points. The prescription I told you, the flu-like symptoms, the heat that went out, and the problem was over. Now, this case illustrates how we can use the acupuncture technique as well to give positive messages. By the way, this is Psi. I just wrote this is a psychological or psychotherapeutical method. In fact, medical hypnosis that I used. Acupuncture is just a very good method that can be combined with medical hypnosis. You may have noticed that many patients, as soon as you put the needles, they go just down. So this is really the state of a trance. This is the introduction that a medical hypnosis has to begin with. So we have the patient in a state where we can really give positive messages without making like whatever the hypnotherapists are doing. In that state, the subconsciousness is suggestible in an optimal way, and we can imprint positive messages. In this case, we explored the energetic imbalance of the spleen's function together with the patient. This is very important that the perception of the patient helps you. So you should not put your words, you should use the words and the focus of your patient as well. This can lead to positive messages, and these messages should be put in terms of the patient. In this case, the message was, the treatment strengthens the digestive organs. The treatment strengthens the digestive organs. The treatment strengthens the digestive organs. That's how I would tell it to the patient. So she just goes down, and these words just go deep. This treatment helps me. It makes a strengthening. The treatment lifts the energies from bottom up. The treatment lifts the energies from bottom up. From bottom up. And in addition, I would treat from bottom up. So my last point would be 220. And as soon as I'm coming to this point, I would say all the energies are coming up to this point and go up heavenwards. All your energies go up to this point and go heavenwards. that's how I do the treatment. And I would really tell you, if anybody is interested in this kind of treatment, it's not possible to learn it here, but you will have opportunities in your surroundings. This is really a good thing with acupuncture, really to learn it. And medicine makes just the contrary. We are always talking about this bad diagnosis. You have cancer, you will die, your pain is just horrible. How much pain do you have? You are just discussing the whole day about the problem. And you do not look for positive aspects. This was the last treatment that I gave to the patient. So she didn't have any problems. Which kind of points do I use? You can look here, stomach problem. Okay, I would use, in my opinion now, or what I did, I just wanted to bring this organism into balance with proper time. Because in fact there were no more problems. I just wanted to keep the state as it is. So, the best for this is the Natschafa. If I have any Natschafa points, I use them. But still I have in mind this trapped heat at the Sha-Yang level and the full organs condition. This is the full organs treatment strategy, stomach 36, Ren 12. Even this is the open point, open channel, stomach channel. So this combination, Ren 12, stomach 36 fits well. In fact, in addition, stomach 36 is the coronary bone point. You know what coronary bone point is? We discussed about it. And the coronary bone point category is commonly used to just as a really broad indication. I just make a timely treatment without possible diagnosis that fit to that case. So if a patient doesn't have any complaints, to use the coronary bone point is a good option. Natschafa midnight low, I used PCA because of his heat, yin spring heat indication, this Sha-Yang heat, and also it is a coronary bone point. And I used the Zhang organs treatment strategy in a timely way. I used the Zhang organs treatment strategy for the spleen deficiency. And the most important thing might be the choker points. No limb like alpha, and some points to balance are used, large intestine 4 and triple energizer 5 to 20. And this is the treatment I gave her. Again, if you look at the balances, we have here PC and triple energizer. This is interiorly, exteriorly related. Spleen and stomach is related interiorly, exteriorly. Large intestine and stomach is the Yang Ming. Then here we have pericardium and stomach. This is the noon midnight connection. And here we have triple energizer and spleen noon midnight connection. In addition, as you see here, I have a dynamic balance. Yang is followed by yin, is followed by yang, is followed by yin. This is the treatment how I do it. Then the prescription was a harmonization of Sha-Yang and clear and detoxify Sha-Yang toxic heat. This is my patient. And here you see the wheel of time acupuncture. In fact, this wheel of time acupuncture was the beginning. I just started, since 20 years I use these time acupuncture methods, and I wanted really to do a device to help me and not always to look at these charts, and that's how it came. The most important thing is really the conversion from time. And if I give courses about this time acupuncture, half the time, or at least 2 to 3 hours, I use just to explain how to calculate. And this is just, people do not do it. And that's how now the app was created. This is the app, and you see the wheel behind, and you can really combine it. If you can prepare your treatment with the app, you can look at it, you can even, you do not only see the current time, you can put any time. So if you prepare it, you can put in the time of the consultation of the patient, and you look which points are now open. You see, look the indications, and I do not take an app, I do not like an app or any electronic device in my treatment room. It's just like the patient thinks he doesn't know, he just has to look in the computer to see what he should do. So I think I do not like it. I even had a patient who told me she really liked to come to me because I look into her eyes. And she said, my family doctor, in fact, he's a nice guy as well, but he is always playing computer games in the treatment room. Because she had her grandchildren, she saw how they played on the computer. She thought that is just something to play with. She didn't know. But it's not only that. You miss a lot if you do not look at your patients, if you look at the computer screen. So that's why I don't like it. But I have just this wheel of time on the table, and before I treat, I quickly have a look at what indication or what points would be good now, and without looking in the screen or whatever. So it's very good to combine. On the back side, you see a table to define the 4 pillars of destiny. You know Bazi. For some it might be of interest to find the energetic of any specific day, time. It's not important for the time-based acupuncture methods. It's not important, but it is on the wheel as well. We are coming to the end. If you want to know more, there is a 10-hour online course via Eastern Currents. There you learn all these calculations, background information, and the handling of the wheel. If somebody is interested really to learn it, you can do it in this 10-hour online course. It is continuing education. You will get credits, I suppose so, at least in the United States, in Switzerland and in France. This is credits, it's giving credits, so I suppose it would be the same for UK as well. You can visit my website if you have any further questions, or if you want to write with me, you can do it via my website. If ever anybody is interested in the wheel, I have some here, so if ever I could give you for half price. It's quite expensive. The price is, I sell it for 140 pounds, I give it for 70. But still, be aware, you cannot go home and use it. It's really complicated. You have, with the wheel, you have a manual. Where is that?
It's under the wheel.
You have a manual, and in the manual you just see how you have to put, how you have to set the wheel. And you have here as well a CD-ROM, which is theoretical basis and concepts here that are behind this. You find this also via my website. It's all in English and German, so you can choose your language.
But the app does it for you.
Sorry?
The app does it for you.
For me?
For us.
For you, yes. The app is really cheap. The app is 10 francs, $10,
£10.
£9.
Hmm?
Sorry? Time Acupuncture app, and it is on the iPhone or iPad. It works iPhone, iPad. Huh? No. No. Sorry. You have to buy a new iPhone, iPhone 8. Any more questions? Okay, thank you.